my sense of self is different.
Because you had shared your grandfather's katra?
Yes.
Why?
Among non-telepaths, the loss of such a close person under sudden circumstances means an instant loss. The sensations involved are likewise instant, sudden, and thus must involve a more viscerally jarring process.
How does that differ from your own experience?
Amid the reconvergence, the members of my family had an opportunity to relinquish my grandfather's presence in a shared process. With non-telepaths, such a process is impossible.
So that soothes the experience for you?
That would seem to be the case.
Logically.
Of course.
Please correct me if I am wrong, Ensign, but did not that telepathic bond also mean you felt the impact of his death directly?
I sensed when it happened.
What was it you sensed?
A loss.
Of what?
The ambient sensation of his presence.
Did it just vanish, or was there more? Did it hurt?
The discomfort proved intense.
What were you doing at the moment it happened?
Piloting a runabout.
Did the sensation impact your ability to do that?
I went into shock. Sensing this, I turned the controls over to another pilot.
I don't usually share this, Ensign, but you and I have something in common. Like you, I lost my grandfather very suddenly. Presumably you know something of the story.
I am familiar with the story of the Aram.
Unlike most of the others on board, my grandfather was Aenar. Are you familiar with the word?
A relatively rare subspecies of Endorians, also telepathic.
Exactly so. Yet I myself inherited none of his abilities. When that section of the ship was destroyed, I and the other children watched. I knew my parents, in fact my entire family, had just died. You, of course, are an adult, and presumably far more capable than I was of coping with such.
My condolences upon your loss.
It was almost 20 years ago, but thank you. But since my grandfather was Aenar, I have often considered what if our minds had been in contact when he died. Frankly, I think the trauma would have been far, far worse.
You are Endorian. I am Vulcan.
Well, as it happens, I'm also slightly Vulcan, my grandfather's wife. You seem surprised.
I suppose talk of feelings has relaxed my composure.
Understandable.
And I was unaware Endorians could procreate outside of their own kind.
It happens rarely and does require medical intervention.
I was unaware of this.
Ensign, I do have another appointment before long, so please allow me to give you a task. You have at least 2 former classmates on board ship, I believe?
I do.
I think you need to describe in as much detail as possible what it felt like, that moment of losing your grandfather and sensing that loss as it happened. Use as much detail as you possibly can sharing this description with someone you trust. If not to Lieutenant Stiles or Ensign Azarian, then to me at our next session.
Thank you, Counselor.
I think you might find the experience regenerative in ways you do not expect. Please do as I ask. It helps.
Captain's Log, Stardate 87095.8. The Witch of Endor has now reached the 100 parsec point of the gulf between Orion and Perseus Arms. Along the way, the ship has deployed 2 of the new D2 communications buoys. We are currently awaiting another 40 hours for the reset of our dedicated computer core. Meanwhile, as per standard procedure, we are proceeding at warp 9.5 and engaging in full-spectrum scans and sensor sweeps in all directions. Since we are in normal warp, we should open up long-range contact with Starfleet Command, send all our logs, and get any news. What say you, Commander?
The universe doesn't care what we think will happen. On Tellar Prime, we figured out long ago the gods are a bunch of practical jokers.
Please open up that channel.
We'll see if we can get updates from USS Cassandra. She should be well into the void by now.
And Mr. Jovan, kindly see to those sensor sweeps.
They should be here soon.
Agreed. I believe the emitter is ready.
Enter.
We're here. A little late for a housewarming party, but who am I to judge?
Hush.
Oh, very well, the truth. Zaak wants you to introduce him to that cute ship's counselor. Not that I blame him.
This is going to be a replay of Lieutenant Zeph.
No, one of us might get the girl this time.
As I understand it, she isn't really a girl. She's a Shen. What with Endorians having 4 sexes instead of the usual 1 or 2.
Zaak, I'm a doctor, remember?
You sometimes do forget things.
We need to show you something.
Okay.
Or introduce you, maybe.
Hello, Dr. Nath. Lieutenant Stiles. I would say nice to see you once more, but we have in fact never met.
You're an AI.
Exactly so. And a hologram.
What's wrong with your image and voice?
The real investigator Lovak suspected you might need a reminder now and again. What you see before you is not a person. I am software, recreating aspects of Lovak's personality, but lacking sentience or free will.
Your roommate got a little upset about that.
Ensign Draper evidently has ethical qualms about precluding the possibility of such evolution on my behalf. My protocols hopefully preclude all possibility of my achieving any form of personhood.
The investigator doesn't want you going rogue then?
Essentially.
This software packet arrived from Photofar just before we left Starbase 58.
Interesting, but why?
My grandfather's murder.
Go on.
Shall I?
Yeah, sure.
My creator and template was and is in a position to set his net fairly wide in gathering data. He focused on 2 clues. First, the unknown alien who was Captain Scovan's assassin. Second, the gap in Captain Scovan's record during the year 2370. A possible third clue was his commissioning a chime sculpture of an ambassador-class ship, even though records show he never served upon one.
Presumably the real Lovak found something, because you're mentioning it now.
Yes.
It does appear individuals described as Vulcans, but with the skin color of Endorians, have been reported with increasing frequency over the last 8 years, although interestingly, almost never within Federation borders. Within the Romulan Free State, yes. Also Kronos, Cardassia Prime, Bajor, and the Ferengi Alliance. They have proven extremely discreet in sharing knowledge of their origins, and based upon descriptions as well as recordings, say, of perhaps 20 or 25 individuals.
What have they been doing? And were any of them the assassin?
Ensign Vanel asked precisely the same questions. There seemed too few details to offer much of a pattern. They have been seen in public places, watching various forms of entertainment, approaching different professionals, engaging trade of nothing very special. But there were no reports of them prior to 8 years ago, and until Scovan's murder, none within Federation borders. This hardly seems a coincidence. The female who committed the murder was not among those reported.
A pressing question is why should one of them murder a retired Starfleet officer?
The most obvious answer, of course,
is this has something to do with his past. And if she infiltrated Federation space under disguise, we have no reason to believe she's the only one.
Precisely so, which leads to the other area of my investigation by my template. Other Starfleet officers with the same or similar gaps of their official record.
This is the captain. News has arrived from Starfleet Command. A disease on the Vulcan colony world of Fadofar has suddenly emerged and taken over 1,000 lives. Since this ship visited that planet, all individual Vulcans and those of Vulcan descent are required to report to sickbay immediately. I repeat, all Vulcans and those with any degree of Vulcan ancestry are to report to sickbay. No exceptions, no delays. This is an order.
We need to get you to sickbay.
That would be advisable. Fortunately, sickbay is not... I appear to be dizzy, yet I have no...
Computer, emergency transport, 4 to sickbay.
Confirmed. Transport activating.
Accessing files, crew complement, USS Witch of Endor. Authorization Lovac Alpha Omega 00753 Delta 3132.
Authorization accepted.